Hello, and welcome to PVUSD's substitute training video for distance learning. Here are the steps we will cover in this video. Next to each item in the list, I indicate a time in this video when I review that particular item. This way you can go back and review any of these steps when needed. The first thing you'll need to do when you receive your sub-assignment is to log in to your PVUSD email. Access the PVUSD email by going to gmail.com, typing in your first_last name at pvusd.net, and then the password that was provided to you. Once into your email, check for an email from the site's office manager. This email will include attendance lists, substitute plans, and the schedule to meet with students via Google Meet. I will now show you how to access Google Classroom. In your email, you'll probably see an invitation that looks like this, which is inviting you to be a co-teacher of the class or classes that you are subbing for. To join the Google Classroom, you can click on this invitation from your email, or you can go to Google Classroom by typing in classroom.google.com. From here, it'll ask you to sign in to Google Classroom. To sign in, you are using your PVUSD email address, first_last name at pvusd.net, and the same password that you use for your email. Once into Google Classroom, you will see a box for every class that you've been invited to co-teach. If you're teaching at an elementary site, most likely you will only see one class here. If you're teaching at a secondary site, you might see an invitation to multiple classes because each period or section has its own Google Classroom. To enter the Google Classroom, just click on the Accept button. I'll now give you a quick tour of Google Classroom. When you first go into the Google Classroom, you land on the Stream tab. And the Stream acts as a notification center for the students, where the teacher can post announcements, or where the students are notified about assignments. The classroom teacher is responsible for posting assignments for students to complete while you are subbing, so you shouldn't have to add any assignments or items into this Google Classroom. The Classwork tab is where all the assignments are housed. Here you can see assignments that are assigned to the students, along with all the important information. Here is one assignment or material posted to students along with instructions and attachments for the students to either view or complete. There are two other tabs here. The People tab will show a list of all the students in the class, and the Grades tab will show all the work that teachers have currently graded. The most important thing for you to note in the Google Classroom is this Meet link. This is the Google Meet link that you will use to meet with your students. When it's time to meet with students, you will click on this Google Meet link here. That Google Meet link is also posted in the Classwork tab here. I'm now going to show you how to run a Google Meet with your students. You'll need to access the Google Meet link from Google Classroom. You can get there by going to classroom.google.com and signing in with your PVUSD credentials. Once in, you want to click on the title of the class that you are going to run the Meet with. Then, in the banner of the class is the Meet link. Click on that to get it started. Down here on the bottom, you can choose to turn off your camera and/or your microphone before you join the Google Meet. Your students will not be able to join this Google Meet until you are in the Meet. So I will now click Join Now to enter the meeting. This pop-up box will appear here. You can simply click the X to get rid of it. Now I'll show you what it looks like when students join the Meet. It is important to note that all subs are required to record their meetings with students. To record, you're going to go down to the bottom right of the screen, click on the three dots, and then select Record Meeting. From here, you will need to accept this consent that the meeting will be recorded. Up in the top left, you'll see the record start. Your students will also see this icon. Now we'll go over some of the tools that you have within the Google Meet. The basic tools are on the bottom. This icon here turns your mic on and off. This icon here will have you leave the call. And if you do that, if you leave the call, you'll see a button to rejoin, and you can just rejoin the meeting immediately. And finally, this icon here will turn your video camera on or off. If you have your video camera off, your Google profile icon will show to the students. Up in the top right, you have the People tab, and if you click on that, you'll see a list of all the people in the meeting. From here, you can remove students from the meeting. Simply hover over the student's name and click the drop-down arrow. You'll see that the microphone icon is grayed out. You do not have the ability to mute students. You do have the ability to remove them with this icon here. This chat icon here will allow students and you to write messages in a meeting for everyone to see. To close this menu, click the X. Finally, there's this tool, which is the Grid View extension. This extension allows you to see all the students in your class on the screen at one time. Right now I have the extension turned off, and I know because there's a line through it. If I click on it once, it'll enable that extension and put all the students on my screen so I can see them all at the same time. Some useful settings here: highlight speakers. This will make it so, for example, when someone is talking, it'll put this nice bright blue bar around the person who's talking. This include yourself in grid is nice, so you can be able to see yourself along with the students in the grid. Finally, there's the option to present your screen. This is if you want to show a Google slideshow or a document or something along those lines to your students during the Google Meet. The way to do that is hit the Present Now button. Then, depending on what you want to show, you can choose to show your entire screen, just a window on your computer, or just a tab. If you are going to play a video, you will need to select a Chrome tab, because students will only be able to hear the audio from the video by presenting from a Chrome tab. Once you are done hosting the Google Meet for students, make sure that all students leave the meeting. This is very important because if all students don't leave the meeting before you leave, they can freely rejoin the Google Meet without an adult present. So, in order to do that, you're going to either ask students to leave and hang up from the call, or if you need to, you can come over here to this drop-down menu and use this icon to remove students manually from the Meet. Now that all students have been removed from the Meet, I can double check that by clicking on this People tab over here. I don't see anyone other than myself listed. I can now hang up the Google Meet session. The recording from this Google Meet, remember, will be saved to your Google Drive. I'm now going to show you how to take attendance during a Google Meet. When you first log into the Meet, you'll see this gray box over here on the left-hand side. This is the attendance tool. You can close this box, and then you'll see here it says class list, and if I click into this field right here, it gives me the names of the students who are currently in the Google Meet. The question marks appear next to their name because it does not identify these students as associated with a saved class list. That's fine, it'll still record all the names of the students in the Meet, and you can just ignore the question marks. Another important thing to note is you need to make sure that you have the Grid View extension turned on so that it records all the names of the students who appear on the screen. You can also use down here, if you click on the three dots, change layout, and make sure you have the tiled view selected. The tiled view will only show up to 16 participants. If you have more than 16 students in the class, you will need to make sure to turn on the Grid View extension in order for this attendance to work. You can also always call roll out loud and record it manually if you feel the attendance extension isn't working properly. Okay, once you're done, all you need to do is click this Save Attendance as CSV file button, and then it'll save it down here on your computer for you to send to the office manager. The final step in the process is to share the attendance record and the Google Meet recording or recordings with the appropriate people at the school site. I'm going to start by showing you how to send the attendance records. On the device that I'm on now, when I saved that attendance record, it's stored it right down here. I have a little preview of it here. It's also in the Downloads folder of my computer. If you're on a Chromebook, you would want to check your Google Drive or the Downloads folder of the Chromebook. And then I need to create an email, compose a new email, and I'm going to type in the name of the office manager. This is for the attendance record. And put in a subject, attendance for, and then I'd put the class name and date. And then finally, you can attach it using this paperclip icon, and this will let you browse into your downloads folder if it's stored there. In this case, I can just click and drag it up from my little preview window on the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and send this to the office manager. When you record a Google Meet, the session, once it's done processing, will get saved to your Google Drive. You will also get notified with an email when the recording is ready. So I have it right here. I'm going to click on it, and then I have this option to open in Drive. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I'm in my Google Drive viewing this recording. There are two things you need to do with the recording. The first is to share the recording with the homeroom teacher. So I'm going to go up here to my three dots and select Share. Then I'm going to type the name of the homeroom teacher. There she is, and I'm going to make sure she's an editor. You may also want to share this with the administrator at your school site. And again, now I'm adding them both as editors. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the send button to share it with them. After you're done sharing this recording with them, you will need to make the homeroom teacher the owner of this file. So to do that, I'm going to go back up to the three dots and select Share. And here's the homeroom teacher, Kate. I'm simply going to click on this button where it says Editor, and then select Make Owner. And now the homeroom teacher is the owner of this video file. And you can see here now she's identified as the owner. Finally, you need to remove yourself from having permission to access this video. So to do that, from the same screen, I'm going to click on this little drop-down arrow next to my name where it says Editor and say Remove. I have now been removed, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save to save those changes. And those are the final steps for sharing both attendance and the Google Meet recording with the appropriate people.